There was a time when touristic tours in Morocco were primarily designed around visits of the imperial cities, exotic stays in Marrakesh, and some relaxing sunbathing time in coastal cities such as Agadir. But progressively, demands for touristic products and new interests are emerging. These are noticeably characterized by the need for more authentic human contacts, as well as a more genuine discovery of the Moroccan identity. Morocco is well known for its geological wealth, so well reflected through a diversity of stunning landscapes that geologists call geosites or geomorphosites. This relatively hidden face of Morocco is going to surprise you by, above all, illustrating some interesting paradoxes between rural dimensions of the country and its aspiration to modernity, manifested, sometimes rather exuberantly, through numerous building sites and diverse architectural styles. But you will also be amazed by the unexpected multiplicity of landscapes, colors, and by people from cities and from the countryside. It is in the areas of the anti-Atlas and of the Jebel Bani, the Dra Valley, and the area of the Atlantic sous-Sahara that you will find the most noticeable contrasts. It is in the areas of the anti-Atlas and of the Jebel Bani, the Dra Valley, and the area of the Atlantic sous-Sahara that you will find the most noticeable contrasts. In Europe, as well as in the Arab world, and more in Africa or Asian countries, the reputation of Morocco is that of a welcoming, open and tolerant country, where Islam remains moderate and religion is accompanied in people's daily lives by a rich and colorful culture, gastronomy and arts and crafts. Thanks to new touristic approaches, a diverse range of touristic accommodation is being provided, from mountain rural gîtes to eco-touristic lodge, from luxury hotels and touristic resorts to business accommodation. And leisure, as well as cultural and natural tourism, is being promoted. Morocco will offer you some sportive holiday options, such as golfing, rallies, marathons, as well as musical ones, through a variety of festivals, such as the Festival of Sacred Musics in Fez, or the Festival des Alizés for classical music, or the Gnawa Festival in Essaouira. These various options will give you the opportunity to move through varied landscapes, meet a variety of people, drive or glide through mountains, deserts, and ultimately oases.
We have travelled a lot through Morocco, and as far as I'm concerned, have experienced cities and countryside holidays here. I prefer visiting these remote regions for the contact and the warm welcome we always get. It seems to me that these experiences are much more authentic.
During the reign of His Majesty Hassan II, Moroccan tourism was centered around imperial cities and coastal towns such as Agadir, characterized by a pleasant climate. This approach perfectly met the needs of a northern European clientele. The Touristic Vision 2010, born from a wish to contrast with the so far adopted approach, was initiated by His Majesty the King Mohammed VI and emerged from the realization by touristic professionals that something new was needed. With the objective to reach an ambitious figure of 10 million tourists, the Vision programmed the following: a system of professional promotion, the liberalization and use of the open sky, a dynamic system of touristic professional training, a strong investment policy, the start of a new governance system, the modernization of the National Moroccan Office of Tourism, and the creation by the Ministry of Tourism of the SMIT, the Moroccan Society for Touristic Engineering, of the CRT, the Regional Council of Tourism, and finally of the Observatory of Tourism. The Vision 2010 also planned the annual Conference on Tourism, whose purpose was to draw lessons from professional touristic projects and to debate on new priorities to come. The recent profound and rapid transformations observed in the country, as well as the potential for radical changes and new opportunities, emerged from new tendencies in tourism, fueled new ambitions for the 2010-2020 decade. And thus, Morocco made a commitment to put tourism at the very core of its economic, social and cultural development initiatives. It did so by putting a strong emphasis on the authenticity and the diversity of its touristic products and animation activities, and on improving the quality of touristic services in a convincing way. Morocco also made a difference by putting sustainable development at the heart of its development and touristic ambition. In order to do so, and in view of differentiating itself from other touristic destinations, Morocco's challenge has been to value its abundance of resources derived from a rich history and kept alive.
Le Maroc pourrait être parmi les 20 premières destinations mondiales en matière de tourisme et également une destination de référence en matière de tourisme durable. Durant les 3 dernières années, le Maroc est la deuxième destination dans la région MENA.
The touristic target for the country thus became identified. By 2020, Moroccan touristic activities, which should have doubled in size, should appear as a Mediterranean reference in terms of the implementation of sustainable development, and should have positioned the country amongst the top 20 world touristic destinations. However, this enthusiasm stumbled over 2 major events. First, the financial and economic crisis of 2008, and then the Arab Spring in the year 2011, from which a cascade of consequences such as unemployment, identity crisis, fear of the other, was going to derive and be catastrophically detrimental to North African tourism.
Dernière, c'est une journée de très forte tension en Égypte, un nouvel appel à des manifestations massives au Caire.
From this, some important political destabilizing events followed in the Middle East. Images, documentaries and news reports on these Mediterranean geopolitical upheavals particularly affected French audiences, the main touristic target of Morocco.
Certains avaient l'habitude d'aller dans des pays du sud de la Méditerranée et là, ils y ont...
The declarations made by the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the Charlie Hebdo, Tunisian and Parisian horrendous events didn't distinguish between Morocco and other places that had become risky destinations.
Le Maroc est pour la France un partenaire clé.
In addition to all this, declarations from political parties defining themselves as internationalist and described as more and more radical, tendencies towards Islamophobia, and the amplification of security measures, accompanied by a more transparent circulation of information, enhanced a certain turmoil, and with it, people's concerns about visiting this part of the world.
L'entretien que je viens d'avoir avec M. Cazeneuve a été l'occasion pour nous de réaffirmer notre entière disposition à renforcer davantage la coopération entre nos services de sécurité respectifs.
La situation économique chez nos partenaires qui n'est pas brillante, et également avec les problèmes d'insécurité dans la région qui sont un peu reliés au printemps arabe. Malgré ça, avec bien sûr la résilience du tourisme marocain, les fondamentaux qui sont bons, l'hospitalité.
Although the Ministry of Tourism attempted to reassure the public and professionals by asserting that, within the current Mediterranean political climate, Morocco was a safe touristic destination and should carry on being represented as such, the overall touristic strategy, nevertheless, would benefit from being revised. The fact that paid holidays are being facilitated for Moroccan workers, the fact that the Moroccan touristic industry directly employs 500,000 people and includes 750,000 indirect jobs, the fact that the touristic industry represents 8% of Moroccan GDP, all this constitutes a considerable incentive to boost internal, national tourism and to develop new touristic activities as a response to innovative strategies. This reality is inviting us to find more sustainable and authentic alternative touristic activities to work with as more solid, supportive pillars for this crucial industry. Tourism must meet, through its diversification, its originality, its capacity to better reflect identities, the international touristic demands and needs that are currently changing. Ecotourism, cultural tourism, forms of tourism that are better orientated towards meeting other communities. All these could help satisfy better the expectations of the international touristic demand that has the potential to reach some 47% of the market. I've known Brahim for 2 years. There is a fantastic human warmth in this palm grove. There is much love amongst people. The welcome is extraordinary. Through new forms of tourism, so far better developed in the Middle East, the Mediterranean and the sub-Saharan African regions, we now need to identify, value and put forward the Moroccan exception.
I think that today there are a lot of touristic initiatives in Morocco, especially in the south, in the regions of Sous Massadra, the region of Jebel Barney, Gulmim, Tata. There is a real potential. I'm pleased that my project has been considered important at an international level. It's a project that might be copied throughout Morocco too. I love being in the family atmosphere in this kind of place, and we've developed a habit of coming here for the general ambience. Shifting from agriculture to tourism isn't easy. The delegation of tourism invited us and helped us in doing so. Now we have a nice site and we've chosen to work on rural and traditional tourism.
To that extent, it is interesting to take notice of the exceptional potential that the Atlantic sous Sahara, the anti-Atlas and the Jebel Bani regions represent. They can both meet the demands of Moroccan public and satisfy those of a more international clientele. The need to diversify and adapt touristic plans whilst respecting socially adapted economic measures is becoming an imperative, and one which is going to help slowing down a strong rural exodus. Conceiving and designing development policies that are inclusive, integrated and sustainable, as well as respectful of economic regionalization strategies, encouraged by the King, is indeed becoming very urgent. I am responsible for running Dar in Fian. I first came here in 2001 and I worked on the renovation project. In 2003 we started welcoming customers and I have done since. We worked in a family in Casablanca and then we have been working in Dar in Fian since 2005.
I've been working in tourism since I was young. I very rapidly concluded that I'd carry on working in tourism as it's a good way to earn a living.
Working on a regional economic and social model of development that is balanced and based on the touristic development of the Atlantic sous-Sahara, the anti-Atlas and the Jebel Bani region is both desirable and logistically feasible. Regional airports and road and telecommunication networks and services are very good. Touristic accommodation facilities have been well ranked and well adapted to targeted tourists in this area. Civil society in these regions is strong and has created important NGOs and women cooperatives that Moroccan can be proud of. Our NGO makes cosmetic products for women. We are trying to present our products in numerous regional exhibitions. This helps us sell them. I've been producing this kind of arts and crafts for a long time, being a widow in need to earn my living to support my family. I take part in lots of local and regional exhibitions, and this is how I realized that many women create cooperatives. This gave me the idea to sell couscous, germinated wheat and medicinal plants in my own cooperative. Thanks to these various initiatives and facilities, it is possible to develop a solid, long-lasting social response to the Moroccan Green Plan or Plan Vert, and, for instance, work on the planting and maintenance of palm groves, the development of subsistence farming, and the valorization of local products.
We are in the oasis of Tizgi, just outside Tata. The river flooded our palm grove, and if we don't pay attention to this, the oasis will have disappeared in 20 years. The cooperative owns approximately 150 beehives, whilst 500 belong to private families. Our problem is that the beehives have started losing their queen bees, and we do not know how to address this issue. In addition, with climate change, our valleys alone cannot support the bees during the whole year. We might have to move the beehives to solve the problem.
working on initiatives of development of a set of oases, as well as on specific natural species, such as the argan tree, and designing social policies in southern Moroccan provinces would also help implement the Plan Vert.
The arts and crafts sector employs a lot of people in our regions, and we can see an increase in the demand for artisanal products. This is making more and more work for people. In this context, one can consider that the efforts made by our ministry to standardise these diverse products will allow a very important opening towards export opportunities.
Thanks to the diversity in geological and archaeological sites that the southern areas offer, thanks to their wealth in architectural and other cultural, material or immaterial heritage, their landscapes, their surprising fauna and flora, these regions seem particularly well suited to host innovative approaches of inclusive, integrated, sustainable tourism.
This is an archaeological site with prehistoric engravings called Tinziwin of Lagleg, close to Akka and Tata. Why Tinziwin? Because we have two little mountains called Taunza and Tuza. In Berber, it's Kassa.
Morocco needs to identify touristic alternatives, appropriate niches that can be correctly interpreted by local communities who would then feel empowered by them and would make them theirs. Such niches could, for instance, include geo-eco-agricultural tourism, with collaborations with subsistence farmers, beekeeping, and joint initiatives with women cooperatives and craftsmen.
In the old days, as malems, we were in charge of our apprentices and looking after them and training them. With time they learnt the job. Now the ministry has put in place some training courses that help ensuring that our new people know how to do this job. We are proud of the results that we have already obtained, and we are certain that these people will be able to follow successfully in our footsteps.
For the last 10 years, the Touristic Regional Council of Gelmim, with the support of the ONMT and of the Regional Council, has contributed to the creation of such niches to a very large extent through a set of targeted actions.
The CRT of Gulmim Esmara has valued the potentials, the various types of tourist accommodation under his control, whilst also putting in place new road signs and publishing free touristic guides. Some 10,000 copies have been distributed both nationally and at international touristic events.
The CRT of Gelmim also opted for a type of development that is inclusive, integrated and sustainable in the context of the implementation of an innovative project, that of the Geopark of the Jebel Bani. In the context of that project, the objective was to empower the civil society, women cooperatives, to develop training activities, ecotourism and scientific tourism by creating a network of sustainable activities. To start with, some 40 touristic itineraries departing from Gelmim, Agadir, Ouarzazate and Marrakesh airports have been planned. Then, quite rapidly, departures from the airfields of Zagora and Tata will also be scheduled, since these will progressively become real airports. This information needs to be disseminated in order to make people more aware and also more receptive of these ways of valuing touristic capacities of regions and communities.
I've started my studies at the Faculty of Agadir and have had the opportunity to work by the small enterprise PSPM and manage the PIT in Tata. This has helped me with developing human and professional contacts in the area and to realise the touristic potential of this area.
This effort of dissemination was realized through the creation of PITs, touristic information points in the area. These PITs facilitated the online opening of a series of platforms.
Notre mission consiste à récupérer toutes les données, les informations concernant toutes les régions du Sud-Maroc pour faire valoir toutes les richesses qu'on a au Sud, à savoir le patrimoine naturel, géologique, culturel, immatériel, ainsi sans oublier les sciences de la terre et de la géologie à travers les sites géologiques, à travers les gravures rupestres.
We want to capitalise on the communication potential that our ministry has put in place. This includes the innovation and research into new touristic products that are better adapted to the needs of our society. We need to link modernisation with other transformations, including the new demands of international tourism. As the Regional Council of Tourism, we have chosen to invest in the Jebel Barney Geopark project.
All this became possible thanks to the project of the Jebel Barney Geopark, which has been particularly well focused and careful in meeting the needs and demands of the local communities. It has also carefully examined potential ways of achieving social stability, appropriate local and regional options, and coordinated actions to operationalize the objectives of Moroccan regionalization. The premise upon which the Jebel Barney project is based includes the respect of local culture and the wish to rehabilitate all buildings that are particularly interesting testimonies of the wealth of the social heritage in the area. The use of new technologies offers ways to merge tradition and modernity and to reflect more truthfully regional identities. This project and the wish to value practical experiences through its design and implementation is expected to be applicable to other regions in Morocco. The project of the Geopark of the Jebel Barney follows a touristic geo-charter as well as an ethical charter and the principles of geo-agricultural and scientific tourism. It takes account of the evaluation of material as well as immaterial capital in these regions. Local populations are considered as genuine stakeholders in this development and touristic project. They have been given roles and responsibilities to respond appropriately to current challenges and, in particular, manage their own human resources. The objectives of the project also include taking account of the realities of rural exodus, the needs of the local population, the expectations and hopes of young people, women's need to position themselves in the national development enterprise of their country. By implementing the Jebel Barney Geopark touristic and scientific project, we are ensuring that this area can be registered as one of the UNESCO set of geosites comprising the most important material and immaterial capital of humanity.
We live in a changing world. We're going to have to find solutions and alternatives to the well-established town-centred, golf-centred, mass touristic options that have been used so far. Targeting Moroccan families going on holidays, people who do not know their own country well, this can be done by creating partnerships with the relevant authorities, by taking account of the possibilities generated by the regionalisation, and also by trusting our younger generations, the Y and Z generations, who master the use of social media and distance communication. Of course, everything needs to be done, hence this current project focused on the Anti-Atlas and Jebel Barney Geopark, accompanied by the objective to register the site under the UNESCO Heritage label. What we are trying to do is to value the remains of 11 centuries of Moroccan history, starting with the arrival of the Arabs who met the Berbers and then established economic systems and the whole culture that we can see now. So I would say that we have managed to put in place a whole network of sustainable touristic activities through the initiative of the Jebel Barney Geopark project. In practice, this means the creation of 149 classified accommodations which need to be better known. There is a whole issue of dissemination of the information and the valuation of what exists. In the medium run, we aim for an inter-regional structure with the newly elected people, new ministries and the SMIT, which should express its views on all these issues. This approach will allow us to identify 40 touristic itineraries departing from Rabat, Marrakesh, Agadir, Gulmim and later also from Tata and Zagora. And this was designed so that international touristic needs can be taken into account and better identified. Our current problem is to get these new and various needs recognised. First, we need to structure our thinking and what we advocate. And to do so, we need to reach newly elected officials to make them aware of the incredible potential of things like eco-museums, the meetings of cultures and the need to link nature and culture, the need to value the social human dimension with a type of tourism which emphasises the authenticity of human intercultural relationships. To respond to these needs, the Anti-Atlas is a great area with fantastic opportunities for people interested in geology and photography. From there, with the energy and the ambition of young people, we invite you to come and meet us in these southern regions where new alternatives to the Touristic Vision 2020 are addressing in a very direct and honest way all the difficult issues the country is currently facing.